Inclusive Leadership, AEP 855 by Morgan Grippin. First thing we're going to look at is Kuzney and Posner's 5 Traits of Exemplary Leaders. I feel through looking through this classroom and studying that many of the theories on leadership that I've read through, that they all have something to do with these 5. I'm sure they add more. They have their own little niches to it, but I find that these 5 are very important. Um, First, they say model the way, create standards of excellence, and set an example. Then inspire a shared vision, breathe life into the vision, and get others excited about the possibilities for the future. Challenge the process. Look for innovative ways to improve, enable others to act, involve others, have mutual respect, create an atmosphere of trust and human dignity, empower others. Then encourage the heart. Recognize that the contributions of others make people feel like heroes. Part 1 of the articles. First article I chose was from UGM Consulting. They had their own perspective on inclusive leadership. First thing they ask is, what is leadership? They say it is influencing others towards a common goal, clarifying goals, and achieving shared common goals. As you see, a few of these relate back to Kuzney and Posner's 5 traits. They ask, what is successful leaders at work? They say to take a moment to reflect on what a successful leader means to you. They say that leaders are highly attuned to the needs of others. UGM also had their own theory. They call it the contributing belonging cycle. They say most individuals in a work context make a contribution in anticipation of positively affecting their sense of belonging when their contribution is valued. Furthermore, when they're feeling especially motivated, they're inclined to work even harder in the hopes of raising their sense of belonging further. Then they say organization is huge. Its focus is on optimizing outputs from the collective effort of individuals. Research shows that high-performing organizations focus on both organizational health and organizational performance. This is not surprising in the context of the contributing belonging cycle, since healthy workplace cultures support an engaged, hardworking, productive staff. They ask, why leadership? They say to know the difference between a leader and a manager. A definition of management crafted in the form of earlier definition of leadership might read directing, using a role authority, subordinates to complete specified organizational objectives for which a manager is accountable. The former power is clearly in the hands of the manager. A leader, in contrast, only attains leader status when as long as others choose to follow them, instead of acting because they feel compelled, such as when directed by a manager. Followers respond to a leader's influence out of choice. The power to choose to follow is always with the followers. Inclusive leadership. They say making an inclusive approach places a focus and emphasis on creating a culture where every individual feels they are able to make a valued contribution, feel a sense of belonging, and deliver their very best work as a result. Management style would want to be as inclusive as possible, but inclusive leadership should also be a goal since anyone can emerge as a leader. They also talk about building an inclusive culture. They say first identify what inclusive means to you. They say share ideas with others to compare, and take a look at what inclusive environments look like in your workplace. And now I got my second article. It was from the ASCD.org. Okay, they talk about um, inclusive education, how to make it work in education. The first one they have is making inclusive education work. As an educator, you are philosophically committed to student diversity. You appreciate that learning differences are natural and positive. You focus on identifying and capitalizing on individual students' interests and strengths. But making inclusive education work requires something more. It takes both systems level support and classroom level strategies. They ask why can some schools and districts implement inclusion smoothly and effectively, whereas others cannot? They say it's a systems approach. You need to have connection with best practices, visionary leadership, redefine roles, collaboration, adult support, promoting inclusion in the classroom, and responding to diversity. Connection with best practices. School leaders should clearly communicate to educators and families that best practices to facilitate inclusion are identical to the best practices for educating all students. This message will help members of the school community understand that inclusion is not an add-on but natural extension of promising research-based education practices that positively affect the teaching and learning of all students. The visionary leadership for inclusion education, for inclusive education to succeed, administrators must take action to publicly articulate the new vision, build consensus for vision, and lead all stakeholders to active involvement. Visionary leaders recognize that changing any organization, including a school, is a complex act. They know that organizational transformation requires an ongoing attention to consensus building for the inclusive vision. It also requires skill development on the part of educators, and everyone involved in the change. For redefined roles, say for school personnel to meet diverse student needs, they must stop thinking and acting in isolated ways. These are my students and those are your students. They must relinquish traditional roles, drop distinct professional labels, and redistribute their job functions across the system. Schools must allow for training and coaching and mentoring programs to help ensure success. After clarifying teachers' new responsibilities and providing training, schools should encourage staff members to reflect on how they will differentiate instruction and design accommodations and modifications to meet the needs of all students. Then collaboration, creating planning teams, scheduling time for teachers to work and teach together, recognizing teachers as problem solvers, conceptualizing teachers as frontline researchers, and effectively collaborating with parents are all dimensions reported as crucial to successful collaboration. Adult support. Paras and teachers work together as a team to be effective in meeting the needs of diversity. Consultation. Support personnel provide assistance to general educators, enabling him or her to teach all the students in inclusive class. Parallel teaching. Support personnel, for example, a special educator, a Title I teacher, and a psychologist or a speech-language therapist, and the classroom teacher rotate among heterogeneous groups of students in different sections of the general classroom. Supportive teaching. Sorry, my voice is not working. The classroom teacher takes the lead role, and support personnel rotate among the students. Complementary teaching. The support person does something to complement the instruction provided by the classroom teacher. And then co-teaching, support personnel co-teach alongside for general education teacher. Promoting inclusion in the classroom. Teachers practicing that make subject matter more relevant and meaningful. For example, partner learning, project and activity-based learning and service learning. Authentic alternatives to paper and pencil assessment, such as portfolio, artifact collection, role-playing, and demonstrations. A balanced approach to literacy development that combines whole language and phonics instruction. Thematic and interdisciplinary curriculum approaches. Use of technology for communication and access to general education curriculum, and differentiated instruction. Article 2 talks about responding to diversity. First, a student can simply join in with the rest of the class. They don't need to have anything special going on. They just need to be able to join. Second, multi-level curriculum and instruction can occur when all students involved in a lesson in the same curriculum area pursue varying levels of complexity. Curriculum overlapping is a third option. in which students working on the same lesson pursue objectives from different curricular areas. A student with severe disabilities, for example, could practice using a new communication device during a hands-on science lesson, while others focus primarily on the science objectives. The fourth option, and the last resort, involves arranging alternative activities when a general education activity is inappropriate. For example, a student may need to participate in an activity within his individualized education program, such as an employment training in the community that falls outside the scope of the general education curriculum. Now we move on to part two, and this is applying inclusive leadership into education. First, we're going to look at the strengths of an inclusive leader. That way you can know the things that you could do to strengthen your leadership and to be an inclusive leader. First, you need to be people-oriented, create a warm and safe environment, overlook people's flaws, deliver reliable results, be good listeners, be patient, willing to make compromises, and show appreciation for others and contributions. As you see, a lot of these relate back to the 5 traits of Kuznets and Posner's as we showed at the beginning. Peter Singh and inclusive education, I feel, go hand in hand. Peter Singh was the man I did my research over, and I feel that inclusive education and him are almost one and the same. Peter Singh talks about shared vision. What do we want to create together? Administrators can lead by stressing that teachers work together to find the best ways to teach inclusively. Then he talks about mental models. Those are the beliefs, values, mindsets, and assumptions. Administrators lead by challenging the status quo and belief systems in order to include diversity in the most successful ways. Personal mastery is self-awareness, the impact our behavior has on others. Administrators lead by showing teachers an understanding of how they behave. And the attitude they have can be a great impact both negatively and positively in how they teach. Team learning, that's thinking together, sharing insights, knowledge, skills. Administrators can lead through collaboration to share success stories along with failures in an attempt to maximize the success of inclusive education. Then systems thinking. This is the framework for seeing complex situations and interactions rather than simplistic linear cause and effect. Administrators can lead by analyzing situations and looking for better solutions. Ideas for leaders in inclusive education. Ideas are to rely on the strengths of an inclusive leader mentioned earlier, the 5 traits, Peter Singh's. The other strengths I said, those are all very important. You need to value the difference of opinion. Other people might have better ideas. Understanding that not all students and teachers are the same. And you need to understand that students with special needs and students without special needs both fall under inclusive education. Part 3, leadership challenges as an inclusive leader. Big challenge is communication, being able to discuss both positives and negatives with peers and staff. And you need to involve everyone, not leaving people out. Sometimes with a big group as a leader, you can just talk to a few people and think it's good and ignore other people, just assuming it's okay, and you can't do that. You need to talk to everybody. Resistance to change. Peers or teachers could resist change that are made, and using the leadership skills will be key in helping them buy in. A lot of the teachers are stuck in the ways and do what they want, and they don't like to try new things. So you have to be a leader and help them figure out that it's a good thing. Implementing new policies or strategies. You need to train all staff, find the funds to train all staff, and communicating expectations to staff and students. And then you got the physical environment, adequate and well-maintained classrooms to effectively conduct class. A lot of us don't have the correct physical environment, so finding a way to maneuver around and get that for the kids and the students is key. And here's my bibliography. A lot of websites to help understand the things that I went over today. Thank you.